My guest is Kendall Toole. She is the founder of the brand NKO, which stands for Never Knocked Out. She's a mental health advocate, former Peloton instructor, an athlete who is passionate about destigmatizing mental health. She has a background in fitness and performance, having been a dancer, gymnast, actress, and boxer. You can follow her on Instagram at Kendall Toole. You can visit nkoclub.com. NKO Club is an all-in-one health and fitness app that launched on November 12th. Kendall, I've taken your class so many times. I'm a big fan. Welcome to Sports Business Radio. How are you?
I am great. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
So, all right, I always like to start at the beginning with our guests. And I know you went to USC and you studied film and you studied business. Both seem to be serving you pretty well right now, but how did you get started there at USC and did that education serve you well, which it seems like it did?
It definitely did. I think the good news now is all of what my parents spent so much money for, because that school is not cheap, not as expensive as it is now. It's paying off. So now that I'm operating my own business and shooting my own content and being my own gaffer and all of it, I'm like, wow, the film degree really did come in handy. But yeah, so I got into USC. My dream was initially to go and produce content, tell stories, talk about female focused stories, all of that. And then go figure, I ended up in front of the camera way later by proxy through fitness. And now I'm in the position where Lord knows what's next, other than we have this app and maybe I will end up producing some content. We'll see what happens.
Well, I'm sure you will. Congratulations on building your brand. We'll get to that in a little bit. But fitness, what got you into fitness? And like you said, you're an instructor. I'm always interested in kind of the backstory of how you wound up at Peloton and just how you got to be where you are right now.
Absolutely. So it was kind of interesting. I grew up as a gymnast and dancer, very perfectionist oriented, whatnot, very like to push myself. I like to challenge. Mm-hmm. And that always kind of stayed through in whatever I did. When I was in college at USC, actually, my mental health was really suffering. So I would find a lot of peace just going to the gym. I'd put on like soundtracks or really heavy metal music or really heavy hip hop and just take that time to move my body. And that helped me through some of those experiences. And then I had a mentor who's a film director, actually, who I met through film school at SC. And he had a boxing gym in Santa Monica. And he was like, you have a lot going on. You need to hit something. I'm like, heck, okay. So I stroll into this sweaty, male-dominated, blood on the floor, smelled like a 5-day-old sock. Sorry, every boxing gym does. It just does.
Yeah.
And was like, okay, well, I can't, wimp out here. I need to throw some punches and try to learn something. So one of the trainers at the gym that he owned, got me into the ring. We started mitting. And I'm telling you, that first crack of that mitt, that great, like the first time I threw a cross and it really connected, I was addicted. And then I would train there 3 times a week. He never charged me once. Wonderful, wonderful guy. Mm-hmm. And it really helped my mental health. So boxing is what got me into fitness. And then after a stint in tech and media, right after I graduated from SC, I then started teaching a boxing fitness class, which then led to being there, opening that studio in Los Angeles after being in New York for a little bit. And then Peloton slid into my DMs. And 3 weeks later, I was auditioning in New York City. And 2 weeks after that, I was moving. And that was just before pandemic and COVID. And I slid to home base. So
unbelievable. So much of life is timing, right place, right time. And I've had Emma Lovewell and Alex Toussaint on here as well. And I was one of those people during the pandemic. I was on my bike all the time and I was taking your classes and I was taking Emma and Alex's classes. And, it's something you look forward to during the day because we didn't really have a lot going on. But it seems like your brand really exploded at that time and you're having tens of thousands of people taking your classes.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I remember when I launched on Peloton, it was September of 2019. And then obviously pandemic and lockdown started March of 2020. So I was really new on the platform at that point in time. I was still getting my sea legs, trying to figure out how does this work. Dear Lord, my original classes, I was wearing like bright red lipstick. Someone told me that I had to wear like bright red. I think they were sabotaging me. I don't know. It was not a good look, but I was still kind of finding my feet, whatnot. And then obviously pandemic happened. We got through it together because same as you across the screen, I was losing it in a studio apartment in New York City. I was a California kid in a New York winter during pandemic. So I was like, the only thing I can do is teach. That was my release for the day. So it was great to do that. And then my brand just kept building and building, and the followers kept building and building. And then I started opening up about my mental health story. And I think that really was kind of a turning point. And then really owning that journey and sharing that publicly was awesome.
What led you, because it's so brave, what led you to want to share your mental health story?
You know what it was? Is that growing up in Los Angeles, I know we talked a little bit briefly that you also were in Los Angeles for university. So you know how it is in LA culture sometimes. It feels like people are wearing a mask. And I think I grew up really with the ability to do that. I knew when to put the mask on to protect myself and to put on that front. And that's what happened. My mental health, I did that for so long. And it got to a really dark place my senior year at USC. And so I felt myself falling back into old habits at Peloton at the beginning, knowing the world was going through so much pain collectively as we were, and going internal, and our mental health en masse was struggling under pandemic and under the lockdown. So it just felt like a moment where I was tired of also performing. I was definitely who I was on Peloton, but I was like, I think people see me as this bubbly, fake blonde California chick. I'm like, I've got problems. And I think it's important to talk about them, especially as we're all starting to discover and take time with ourselves, which I think was a good thing that happened by slowing down. So I just went on social media one day and I was like, hey, I have anxiety and depression. And I was on Instagram Live. I don't know what compelled me to do it. I mean, listen, it was probably 5 days in a row not leaving my house that did it, but I think it paid off, and it opened up a door to have conversations and build that with a community. And then that led to producing the content that was all about honoring our mental health journeys on the Peloton platform. And now I have a fund, and it's a huge key in what we're doing with NKO Club too. So it's kind of wild.
I commend you for it. You're a spokesperson, I think, for the National Alliance of Mental Illness. Is that right?
Yes, I am. I'm an ambassador for them. I work with a lot of other organizations as well, like the JED Foundation, Project Healthy Minds. What's great about the mental health community is that truly the people that are running these charities and these organizations, they just want to be a source of light and a source of resource and to help stop the stigma. So many of us don't talk about it. And it's pretty shocking given the fact that 1 in 4 of us tend to go through a mental health episode at some point by the time we turn 25. That's the current statistic. And we're finding that whether we went through it personally or not, we know somebody who does. So it's something that affects every single one of us. And it should be a commonplace conversation, in my opinion.
No, I totally agree. And again, courageous of you to come out to use your platform. A lot of people listen to what you say and follow what you do. And also, I see a lot of fitness instructors out there, but I don't see as many who combine mental health with physical health. So I think what you're doing is really unique.
Thank you. Yeah, I think you can't have physical health without having mental health. I think it's all about 360 well-being. And if COVID and the lockdown taught us anything, is that we can't continue to treat ourselves like these robots that are operating at breakneck speeds. I think it's something we're going to talk about even more as AI comes into the picture for how it's a part of our lives and how we relate to it. So making sure that our feet are on the ground, our body as well, our mind as well, our spirit as well is incredibly important. I think it's going to be more important than ever in the coming decades. So it's nice to be in a position to try to help people connect those dots and say, you can't have one without the other.
Yeah. Tell us about Never Knocked Out, NKO. I know the app is coming out and you've got a lot of offerings on there. And how did I know you had a 1-year non-compete with Peloton, which was probably hard. And I want to get to that in a minute with like what you did during your year, because it seems like you had a pretty good year off. Yeah, but you were building this. Oh, yeah. I'm sure. And building towards this. But when people sign up for NKO Club, what can they expect?
What they can expect is the whole idea was I wanted to create a country club energy, but for the misfits. So like I have been invited and been to country clubs, and somehow I walk in there and I'm like, I feel like I have to be on my best behavior. I have to be prim and proper. I have to be like, again, I'm masking. I want the country club amenities. I want you to have all the modalities of fitness. So what we have boxing on a heavy bag, which is incredibly exciting. So my favorite sport that helps save my mental health is there. We have cycling, we have Pilates, we have strength training, and like this is lifting weights the right way, dumbbells, the whole work. And then we also have breathwork. We have breathwork with guided affirmations. So if you're having a day, you can open that up and I'm right there with you and we'll take a quick 5 minutes and reset the day. There's a gratitude journal. So you can start building mental habits that are great for you. And then there's a whole digital cookbook of wonderful recipes, things that I've shared with the community that they love, that have gone viral. I'm like, I need to put it in a spot for you that's convenient and easy to access. And so we have all of these other features, and that's our V1 as we obviously progress as a company and as an app. We have a lot of fun features we're going to be adding in the future. But I wanted it to be what my dream country fitness wellness club would be without feeling like I wasn't welcome there. And I think that often wellness can be so often gate kept and those spaces can be gate kept. And I love the aesthetic of it. I love the modernity and the wood and the dark green and all the coziness that it brings. But I never really loved the energy that came with it. So something that's awesome too is we have commercial music. We were partnered with Feed FM. So a lot of people know me for my music taste.
Yes.
Fake blonde and from California, but I love my metal. I love my very, very explicit hip hop. You know, I love my hard rock and my pop punk music. So I was like, we need to make sure we have that available to you guys. So we have these custom playlists that I have worked with the team there, and your favorite songs are going to be there and you can select it for whatever workout you want. Or if you want to do breath work to metal, you can. It's all right there for you.
I love that it's a one-stop shop because you usually have to go, I got to go to one app for my meditation, another for my fitness, another for my healthy recipes. This sounds like it's all going to be in one place.
It is. And that was the thing too. As someone who deals with her own mental health, I get overwhelmed by the paradox of choice. I think we all do. There's so many apps competing for our attention, or download this, do that. And it's hard to find a flow. I think if we can have things simplified, they have to be nice and clean and modern and aesthetic. But if we're able to get our fitness and our mental health and some great recipe ideas where we feel empowered to fuel our bodies well, why not put it in one place and just make it easier? Simplify the whole thing out.
If you could go back to that senior year at USC, knowing what you know now, and talk to young Kendall, what would you tell her?
Oh, God. This question always gets me all emotional. And transparently, I had therapy earlier today. So I'm obviously like an open sponge too.
Hey, I go to therapy every week too. So we're on the same page. Yeah.
You have to, well, look, my whole thing is I can't be talking about being well and not be doing my own work, right? That'd be messed up. So yeah, it's funny. This has come up in therapy too, of course, the talking to your younger self. And I think it'll be 11 years in a week from that terrible, terrible day. And oh gosh, I'd just go back to, I'd give her a hug and I'd say, I know the world feels like there's no color and you don't get why, and you feel really isolated and feel really alone. But I think younger Kendall would be floored by how the thing that I held the most shame about and the thing that I hid from the world the most became the way that I got to have freedom, but also the way that I got to connect and hopefully help so many other people at a big scale. And it's a testament to sometimes your darkest chapter is actually the greatest place where that's where the light has to come in. Like that's the entry point.
Yeah. You talked about fitness getting you through that therapy. For people out there who are struggling and they're wondering where's the light at the end of the tunnel, do you have some words of advice that you can give them other than move your body, stay healthy, go to therapy, obviously try and eat right, but are there some other things that you can add?
Absolutely. I think the hardest part is right after that dark moment or in the midst of the dark moment, because lifting a finger, let alone I was struggling getting a shower or brushing my teeth or even feeding myself. So a lot of these goals seem very big. They seem too heavy to lift. And I would say start really small. If someone were to do anything, I would say try to write on your phone. You don't even have to get the app. I'd love it if you did. But even if that's too much, write on your phone one moment, one feeling that you're grateful for. And it feels really hokey and it feels really strange at first. But if you can identify one thing, it could even be the color on the wall or the light coming through the window, is that your brain will take that moment, that little seed of gratitude, that little moment of presence, and it will give it a little neural pathway. And the more you stack those moments of gratitude, the more you start to literally build a pathway in your mind for an exit ramp off of where you're going. So I would say that. And I would also say, give yourself grace. You're allowed to have a tough day. Little wins. If it's getting outside, if it's going downstairs and going upstairs, that counts. That's movement. If it's walking around the block or walking around the house, great. That's movement. little wins, little bits of gratitude will start to open up the world a little bit more.
I love what you say there about little wins, because I think people put so much pressure on themselves, whether it's what they see from others and, oh, I need to be at the same place they are, or I need to be achieving and accomplishing this. And sometimes we have a bad day and we just need one little win in that day to get to the next day.
Yeah. And I think we all are creatures of comparing ourselves. We've been on social media apps for over a decade now. We have a way where it's affected our brain that we only see the highlight reel, and somehow we don't believe that anyone can have the negatives. I mean, I'm sure someone could look at my social media and be like, wow, her life is great. I've had so many breakdowns in building this app. I've had like full on freakouts, like very ugly cries and self-doubt moments and imposter syndrome moments. These are all part of being human. And it's difficult to share that publicly on a platform where it's built for applause or built for likes. I think that's why it's kind of awkward for us as human beings. We're not built mentally to be able to carry that load.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to remember that your journey, your path, how you get there, things can change in an instant. Like, I had no idea my life could ever be this. I had no idea I would be funding my own business. I mean, I was broke living in a basement in Laurel Canyon. Like, I literally had $800 and I had to find a way to make that last for the whole month.
Wow.
My car payment, go to Trader Joe's and like siphon off my food. I lived off of a hot plate and like a college mini fridge. And you know what? I was happy. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I was happy then. I was a dreamer. I was a fighter. I knew there was more for me, but I got through those days and I enjoyed them. And I'm going to get through these days and I'm going to enjoy them. And it all can turn. It all can change so quickly. There is more. And I think if there can be a hopeful voice in a world that feels really, really heavy and often very dark right now, it's that things can turn around quicker than you believe. So sometimes you just have to try to separate yourself from the noise, separate yourself from everything you're consuming, and get back to the basics. Give yourself a little bit of healthy isolation.
Yeah.
And check in on your breath, move around the block, a little moment of gratitude. Those are the wins that you need to focus on stacking. If you got to take a break off social media or the world, do it. You do not need to compare yourself to anybody else.
I love that. I want to talk to you a little more about self-funding this. I mean, I love, I've watched Shark Tank for a long time, and they always say, hold off on investors as long as you can. Because as soon as you get investors, now you owe people money and they're going to want to have a say in what you do. And you just don't have as much creative license. I've had this show 21 years and it's mine. And I've never taken on investors. I don't even know if I've ever said that publicly on this show. But I think, when you want to do things a certain way, if you give some of that equity away, then you're beholden to people. So how did you build this? I'm sure it took a team of people to build this, but you're self-funding this. I think that's super impressive, Kendall.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to show the other side of the curtain. Again, film school and business school, I knew I always had the drive to want to build something of my own. I've always had a more entrepreneurial spirit, but I'm going to be very transparent, as you know, too. It's one thing to talk about being an entrepreneur or say, hey, yeah, I jumped on this brand and I'm a co-founder. It's a whole other thing to put your own skin in the game, have to bootstrap it and figure it out and understand the highs and lows, and the door is closed and then you have to punch a hole in the ceiling because there's not a window. You have to figure it out. So with this, the big choice, and you're spot on with that, with waiting to accept capital, I was approached by quite a few VCs that knew that I was leaving. They were like, hey, we want to help you build this business. We want this. There were great conversations I had with other people in the fitness space, very big entities wanting me to come over. And I kept going back to, and this might sound hokey, and I promise this is not meant to be hokey, but my last class, the Never Knocked Out crew, which is the community that would ride with me through thick and thin, they're awesome. They made this beautiful scrapbook. And I'm not joking. It's like 40 pages. It's covered, it's photos, and then it's handwritten or hand typed messages and stories about what the classes did, what the community did. And every single time I'd have an offer or someone would talk about wanting to come in and, there was a big number they're offering to give us. And I'd open up that scrapbook and I'm like, it won't be right for them. It's not right for them. It's not right for the values that I want to stand on and what this really means and how we can do this. And I think the biggest thing is the second you take on investors, you take on opinions.
Yeah.
And that's the trade-off. And not that I'm not here for feedback, but I would rather listen to the feedback of the community, the people that I'm trying to serve. They are my number one. They are my shareholder. They are my audience. They are who I'm building this for. I don't want to have to worry about an institutional investor who's saying, well, you need to add this feature because this brand or this brand is doing it and now we're falling behind. No. If I wanted that, I could have stayed at Peloton, which was a wonderful experience in my life, but I wasn't in control and wasn't able to really build something that felt truly authentic to what I wanted to do for my next chapter. So you have to wait for the trade-off. And when the time is right, I'm sure we will invest capital, but then we'll have the leverage. I'll be able to set the terms. I'll be able to say, well, this is what I'm comfortable with. This is what I'm not comfortable with. And it's really been me and my business partner in building this. And then we've brought in contractors to build this out. So it's the two of us. And then we have a wonderful PR team. We have a wonderful developer out of Australia. They're named Pixel Force. They're fantastic. And then we've found talent. We found incredible photographer that I found on TikTok who does these great videos. He's like I think he's 25. He's out in Nashville. Flew to Nashville, did our marketing shoot. We've done this really scrappy. So what's exciting is there is a very reasonable, very, very reasonable membership number that when we hit that, we will be a break-even business and we should be cash flow positive within our first 2 to 3 months.
Wow. 2 to 3 months?
Yep.
That's incredible.
We're scrappy.
Well, you are scrappy because think about, again, when a lot of businesses start, they're like, it's going to be 2 years, 3 years, 5 years before we're cash flow positive. And there's just a lot of weight on the founder. And for you to know that after 2 or 3 months, you're going to be making money, it takes that pressure off. You can really focus on the community, on the content, and what the mission is.
Absolutely. And our goal too is I want to be able to add the features, update the app as often as we need to, really deliver. Looking at in-person opportunities is key. We want to go on tour. That's something that my team's already talked about. How can we reach the community where they live? People used to have to come to me in New York. And I was like, no. This time I want to come to you. I want to come to your home turf and build a community event. So then we can talk to the brands that I work with. We can create moments in communities that don't often get to have this kind of attention. Like, I want to go to Indiana. I want to go to Iowa. I want to go to, wherever in Texas or Arizona or, Chicago, all these areas that I haven't been able to really be a part of. And create that movement there, bring community together in real life so that the digital is what sustains us, but the in real person events, I hope in the future are going to be the thing that mark the brand so significantly and really make this something more than just a fitness app. It's more of a community and a movement.
So what would that look like? Is it like a studio ride, but it's in person in your town?
It could be that. I think what we could do is definitely, I've been talking to some friends who are artists or athletes, maybe having special guests.
Oh, nice.
I'd also love to help support local studios. So if it would be a cycling class, why not have a cycling class? And then we have next to whatever the cool local cycling studio is, have them there, give them the, help build a community for them while we're present. And I'm there creating content and we do this as a community. And then we have either like a concert event, or then we have a workout on the lawn, or we have, a meet and greet or a community event. There's so many, or we could do a 5K. We could do something really special. So I think really the sky's the limit. And I know it sounds kind of cheesy to say, but if you look at what Diplo's done with Diplo's Run Club, if you look at what Travis Barker is doing with Run Travis Run, there is such a drive to have community together in movement that if I can take the digital footprint that I have and these digital relationships that have been fostered for over 5-6 years, and then convert that into real in-person moments, we might not be able to do that weekly, but if we can do it quarterly, how special would that be? And that then can lead up to maybe working with bigger partners, maybe getting into a third space, creating some type of actual, physical footprint. But for the time being, the goal is let's get the community what they need. Let's create the best content we can possibly make. And let's update the app to what they want. That is my goal. I don't want to give anybody something that they think is stupid or ridiculous or not going to be helpful to them. We're here to serve a community And I believe that by keeping that as our goal and at the forefront, we will be able to create a successful business, but we're keeping the needs of the people first.
I love that so much. And sometimes I take this show on the road. We record in front of a studio audience. And I'm just a firm believer when you meet someone in person, it changes the dynamic forever. It's one thing to see someone on Zoom or on social media, but when you meet them in person, it's just a different dynamic going forward.
Absolutely. And the big thing for me with my passion for mental health with that, when my mental health is poor, I isolate. I hide from the world. I hide from people. I don't go out in public. I think we all have a tendency to do that. We kind of like go into our shell a bit. And so the goal for me is like, if I can get people out in real life and with other people in the community that have shared values, that both care about movement, that both care about mental health, that feel welcome in a community, we could foster relationships. Like people are lonely more than we ever have been. This was a byproduct of the pandemic. So how do we fix that? It's kind of like matchmaking. You just give them a space where they can be human again, where we're not so focused on the digital and comparing ourselves to people on social media. Because when we spend time together in real life, we feel seen, we feel connected, we feel our best. We need that. We are pack animals. Like our brains literally need community. So I want to help foster that using the digital space as a springboard to getting us evolved in the more personal.
Yeah. And I think with certain people, I would count myself amongst them. After the pandemic, I crave in-person community more than I did before because I was isolated like everyone else for basically 2 years. So when we could see people again, I was like, I want to see people as often as possible.
Yeah. And the other thing too, I think a lot of us are reflecting on our habits and our patterns. So it used to be that you could go to the mall. Well, malls are kind of closing, and who really wants to spend money on shopping on stuff you don't need? We all shop on Amazon anyway and still buy it. So we don't need that. So malls are gone. The other thing is, okay, you go to a restaurant or you go to a bar, but a lot of us are changing our relationship with alcohol or looking at it differently. Or you want to go out and meet people, but you don't want to spend, $150 at the bar.
Right.
And that's tough. So it's like, where do we convene? Where do we come together? And where do we come together with shared values? It's very hard to find that.
Yeah.
And I think everyone's craving it. And what better thing to do than work out or dance to some music or headbang to some, I don't know, rock band or whatnot as a group. I think that's why we're seeing, all of the music festivals doing really well, all of the run clubs doing really well. I think this is just the tip of the iceberg for what's coming next, for how we as human beings need to find spaces to be together.
Well, and you are so well positioned to analyze what the community and the world needs next. And I applaud you for doing this on your own and self-funding it. I totally think it's the way to go. Has there been someone that's reached out to you of note over the years that says, I take your class or I follow you on Instagram, that you've been like, oh my God, I can't believe that person engages with me or follows me?
Yeah, there's quite a few, from like professional athletes to artists, like artists I looked up to. There's people in business. I'm so weird about like naming names. I don't want to be odd that way. I think that's the like growing up in LA. I'm like, I can't name drop. That's weird. But no, I mean, I've made friends through it too. Like people who I've looked up to. Like there's people in business, like someone who is a serial entrepreneur who is on Shark Tank. If that helps at all. One of the sharks has reached out and is cheering on and supporting what I'm doing and had loved the classes for years. And then there's even like, I've had presidents take my classes, which is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, that's wild. They didn't talk to me personally. I know Joe Biden was taking my classes. I was like, it's got to be the dad rock. It's got to be the dad rock, I think, for him. I think it was the classic rock classes. I could see Biden on those. But I found that out. That was really cool. And then there's pro athletes and whatnot and just wonderful people that are doing cool things in the world. But what's nice about that is whenever you hear from those individuals or you meet them in person, I met a few people when I was at Cannes for Cannes Lion this past summer. And everybody, you just recognize how everybody just wants to feel good. Doesn't matter if they're like king of empire or business, or they're a billionaire, or they're an athlete, or they're a mom in Iowa. Everybody just wants to feel good and feel connected. And it's a great unifier, I think, in today's world, that fitness and wellness, and even more so now mental health is coming into that fold, is a way for all of us to agree on one thing. Like everybody at least wants to feel good and deserves to feel good. And I think if we see each other through that lens, it helps us move forward into, I think, where the world needs to go, where we keep our empathy at the core and at the forefront, and we start growing together.
Mm-hmm. What does it mean to you to be a strong woman in business? I mean, again, you're starting this company, woman in business. You're doing this on a lot of different levels, whether it's publicly on social media and on the digital platform or in person at community events. That's got to make you feel really good. And I'm sure there will be other people that come after you that go, look, Kendall laid the groundwork for me to be able to do this.
That would be the dream. I think I'm very, very grateful that I've met so many wonderful women in business and men in business who have really given me great advice. And I think a lot of it that I've learned is you kind of just have to have the guts to go do it.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many people out there that are brilliant and then they psych themselves out of making the choice. And yes, it is scary, but so is staying in the same position where you know what your life is going to look like in 20 years and you don't already like it now. You're not going to like it again and more in 10 years if you're not enjoying it now. So I'd rather thrive and I'd rather take those risks. But yeah, I think it's very important. I think even more than ever, I'm taking stock in how do I show up as I'm now a boss and I'm now a business owner. What woman do I need to be? And I've worked in tech and in corporate before, and I've had some great stories and I've had some terrible stories. And I think what's important is that I exemplify the type of woman I want to be, but also the type of woman that I hope really creates the space for people to rise. I love to mentor. I love to help. And that also means I need to be brutally honest with myself of when I'm falling short and where I can improve, and to lead with with humility and with transparency about where my growth points are, because you're gonna mess up and you just kind of have to keep it moving and take the notes and take the lesson and evolve.
Well, and you're managing people now. This is, before you're the instructor, you're the talent, and now you're running a company and you're managing people. That's a whole different ballgame.
It is a whole different ballgame. And I think, again, emotional intelligence is very important, but so is being able to, you have to be the leader. You have to know, even when there's days I have doubts, I can't share that necessarily with the team. I have to be the visionary. I have to make that decision. So again, thank God for therapy and learning how to step into this new role, because there's a time for me to be the leader and to be the visionary and to make sure everyone's on track. And then if I'm having fears or doubts, I need to have my outlet so that I don't put that on the people I work with and change the tone and change the energy and change the culture of what I'm trying to do. It's really important. I've experienced toxic cultures. I've experienced wonderful cultures, either from a film set or from, an actual business or a startup. And I know what I definitely don't want to have.
Right.
And it is such a goal to create a space where people are excited to work together. We're excited to build a business together. And they also feel that they can be heard. I want to be around people who are 10 times smarter than me. I want to sit at a table and be like, thank God you're here, because I could never. And this is why, go run. I'm not in the game of micromanagement, but I am in the game of managing all of us to attack this goal together. And I think growing up in the film industry and seeing how functional a wonderfully run film set is always in the back of my brain. How does a good director do it? How does a good executive producer do it? Where they honor everybody's skills and talents, let them be the specialist and lead, but also keep the whole source, the whole thing on track to get to that final goal. And it's a new challenge. It's great.
I'm sure it is. I know we've just got a few minutes left. I appreciate your time. Instagram, you've got over 1 million followers on Instagram at Kendall Toole. Like you said before, we tend to show our best moments, our wins on social media, but also you've done a brilliant job of building your brand and building that social media following. What's the recipe to doing that? Because a lot of people have tried and not many people have succeeded as well as you have.
I would say, first off, it is always changing. And I can say this. I have friends who work at both Meta and TikTok, and I worked at Snapchat for a time. Like, I know how it all operates. The algorithm is always going to change. But what cannot change is how you show up on the internet. And what I mean by that is, if you are showing up as yourself, if you know what you're trying to serve, where's your value point? And value content might be trending for a year and then it might not be, it'll come back. But when you build loyalty and you build community with people, it's because you're giving them something. You're sharing yourself, even just sharing your inner thoughts, if that's for you, or sharing what you learned from building a business. It's all about telling story. So if you can tell a story to people and you can say, this is me, this is what I'm about, this is what I care about, how can I be of assistance, or how can I help you, or how are we related? And you add some fun humor in there and you are consistently showing up, your people find you. And I think it's just really being bold enough to share your story, allowing yourself to be seen just enough that you realize, okay, you're going to find people that share those same perspectives and interests, or are just intrigued by you. And then you're going to get, at a certain point, you've made it when you get a ton of haters. That's also—
turn off your DMs.
Oh my gosh. You know what? At this point, it's not even, they are bold. I have some wild ones just boldly in the comments, but that, and don't read Reddit. Reddit is not a good place to show up. Don't read Reddit. Avoid that, but everywhere else is good.
Yeah, I mean, it can be really bad for your mental health. I mean, I hope you turn off your DMs. Maybe you want feedback on, NKO Club and stuff like that. But I love, I've seen you at In-N-Out Hamburger, enjoying a hamburger. I've seen you obviously doing fitness stuff. You mentioned earlier in our conversation the IG Live that you did talking about your mental health struggles. There's a lot of variety. And then I think you also do a brilliant job promoting partners like Lululemon. And, I'm at this event or I'm at this speaking engagement. I feel like I get a really good sense of who you are on your social media. And the biggest thing I tell people is it better be authentic, because if it's not, and I meet you in person and you're totally different, you can smell it.
Well, and the other thing too is the amount of energy it takes to fake it.
Yeah. A lot of people do, though.
Oh, I know. I have stories. I know. I've met a lot of them. And I think, and good riddance, honestly, like I feel for them, because that's a lot of work and that's a lot of emotional weight to have to carry, to be fronted all the time. But I will say that. And the other point, if someone's trying to start building their social presence, because it is important, whether you're a founder and you're sharing what you're doing or you need to build a personal brand, it feels like so much pressure. Just document. Like a great way to start is set up your camera. It feels silly at first, but it's recording you. You don't have to film in-app or anything. Record little snippets of your day. Here's my formula, you guys. You ready? If you want to make a good vlog series, this is all you got to do. Film yourself throughout the day, little 1-minute clips, 30-second clips, cut them down to 2.5-second cuts, and take people through the day. And all you have to do is do voiceover on top of it. And you start with a hook now is really important. So you have to say, I can't believe I'm saying this, or, well, I messed up today and here's what happened. And you sometimes you get creative as time goes on. Unfortunately, with the algorithms right now, you really have to kind of doctor the attention grabbing hook. It's not quite as one-to-one as it used to be, which is okay. It is what it is. That will change eventually too. But if you can just document your life, just document, act like someone's like a documentarian's following you. And even if you think brushing your teeth and making your sandwich and running to soccer practice is boring, I guarantee you there's someone out there that's like, oh my gosh, that's me. Or, oh yeah, they're cool. They do the same stuff I do. It's so interesting, but human beings are so thirsting to feel community that we love watching other people live life because it makes us feel better about our lives. It's not the doctored things. It's just the reality of surviving being human right now.
All right, I'm so impressed by your boxing skills, but if you tell me that you're doing these vlogs and you're also doing your own video editing and music and all that stuff, I'm going to be even more impressed. Is that the case, or do you have? We all have teams that help us with things. Like, I would think you need some help with social media.
You're not wrong, but I'm literally, in fact, if anyone out there is a fantastic social media editor that I am hiring.
Okay.
Yes, I am looking for someone who can churn out wonderful, wonderful edits a la TikTok for TikTok and for Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, unfortunately, I do all my own editing. And
you do a good job. No, you do. Yeah, I'm sure you're tired. You have bigger priorities now than editing your vlog. So that's the other part about being a good business owner is you really do have to prioritize because you can't do it all.
No.
And that's one of the things that, you probably go, well, it's better served to let someone else do that because my time is best served doing something bigger and more strategic.
Yes. And that's, every time I talk to somebody, I've watched them build a brand. I ran into somebody at the Rare Beauty Impact Fund I was at in Los Angeles. And he and his wife are very, very successful and lovely, lovely people. And I've seen his brand grow from, 200,000 followers to 11, 12 million and a massive force in the space. And the number one piece of advice was like, how did you scale? And he's like, you have to know when it's time to accept help, and you have to allocate, and you have to create systems. And that's what I'm learning now. So yes, my system is broken currently for the amount that I am taking on. So if anyone is a very adept social media editor and would like to talk, let me know.
Do they slide into your DMs? Do they email you? How do they let you know?
Yes, please email. Let me think of the best way to put this out there. Actually just DM slide on Instagram. Believe it or not, I do see it, and I have a team that can help me look at it. So please just DM me, share your portfolio, and 2 to 3 years minimum experience. Would love to see what brands you've helped go viral, all that good stuff. So sorry, it turned out commandeering this interview.
No, we're going to get a lot of people that are going to respond to this. I guarantee you're going to be like, oh my God, that's more people than I know what to do with.
Honestly, difficult.
Good. All right. Last question for you. You had that year non-compete, and I know that you've been building towards NKO. I know you've kept yourself busy, but is there something that you did in the last year that was like, I really needed to do that to reset myself for going forward?
Well, I moved twice, which was pretty insane. So obviously moved into a new home, built studios, built the whole 9 yards. But I think the number one thing about having the non-compete was I had to take time to put to bed the version of myself that I was in my era at Peloton, which was absolutely wonderful. But I definitely was used to performing for even that platform and for who I felt needed to be there. And I had to kind of break down. I had to get mushy. This is probably the emotional, not fun thing to hear about a non-compete. But I'd say probably winter of this year, so January, February, I really was in a difficult space mentally because I knew I had to let go of what was. And then I had to really decide, what am I taking with me into this next chapter? And what do I want to leave behind? And so in taking the time to, again, prioritize therapy, doing lots of social media breaks. I took a lot of time off of social media. I felt very pressured to create content. There was almost a sense of like responsibility or guilt that I had.
Like a hamster wheel.
Yeah, exactly. And it is. And I think a lot of us fall into this trap where, because we're told, and it's kind of true, if you don't keep posting, you'll be penalized. And then I was worrying about, well, what's going to happen? And are people still going to be here when it's time for me to launch this business? And the beautiful thing that I will say is that when you build a brand or you build a business that's based off of honestly true, authentic values to you, and you have provided value to people, that loyalty lasts and they will stay with you. And that was something that I had to learn. And I'm very grateful to the community that it helped me understand my value as well, that no matter what, nobody can take away how you've helped others. Nobody can take away how you've impacted somebody's life. So it was a really wonderful thing to have to learn that lesson and to sit with myself and say, hey, it's okay to take a step back. It's okay to build in silence and to be quiet. And even though you want to tell everybody what you're doing, it's not time to tell them yet. So it's really wonderful to have it into the world and see the reaction in people being floored, like, oh my gosh, I get it. I knew something was coming and this is great. So it's wonderful.
And I would imagine you probably had a little bit of time that you could spend with family and friends that you hadn't been able to do because you had such an insane instructor schedule for several years there.
I really, transparently, part of my choice of leaving was I really was suffering as a person. I loved my job, but I didn't. My parents were on the West Coast. They were in California. My brother and my nephew are in Nashville. I really couldn't date. Thankfully, I met who I'm I can't call him my partner. He'll be my fiance soon enough. We're busy. We're building businesses, but like it's going to happen. He's my dude. But we met just before I closed out my chapter with Peloton, but I wasn't even able to date or see my girlfriends. So it's so exciting. Like I have a girls trip planned. I got to go to some football games. I got a massage almost every week. I did certain things. I started to learn how to play tennis. I'm terrible, but it's a good challenge. So you try new things and you get out of your comfort zone and you recognize no matter how hard you work, you have to have a life. We are here we don't live to work. We are working to live. And when
Right.
you live and when you're grounded in who you are as a human being, that's where the creativity comes from. That's where the passion comes from. That's where the best ideas come from. Not from you staring at your screen until 2 a.m, which is part of it sometimes, but it comes from the time with family and friends where you can relax and breathe and say, wouldn't it be great if the world had X? And that's, I think, where when we touch back into our own humanity, we really find our value. So taking time to relax, to chill, to go to Italy for a second and touch grass or get in the water is absolutely non-negotiable. We all need to make time for that as we can.
NKO Club is it's launching coming up November 12th. So if people want to sign up for this, do they go to nkoclub.com? I've signed up already.
I love it. I love it. Yes. So you go to nkoclub.com. We have a very beautiful display. It shows all the features. I think we have like 12 different spots where you can click to sign up for the app, so you won't have any problem navigating it. And we have 2 types of membership. We have an annual membership, which gives you a 36% discount, which I think is kind of a crazy deal. It equates to $20.83 a month for everything.
Wow.
Yeah. And then
That's incredible.
Yeah. My whole thing was I wanted to make sure that the price point made sense. There's a lot of content. There's a lot that we are putting into this, but I wanted the community to feel like this was attainable. I didn't want it to be so high out in the sky that it was, especially with what's going on in the economy right now and how families are really going through it. I wanted people to be able to prioritize their mental health without feeling like they have to sacrifice for it. They should be able to move. They should be able to take care of their brain and fuel their body without feeling like it's really going to be a financial burden. So we have that. And we also have, if monthly needs to happen, that's totally fine. It's $29.99 a month. So,
wow.
Yeah.
It's a lot less than a lot of other platforms. It has, like we discussed, it's got fitness, it's got meditation, it's got all these things in one place. And congratulations to you, Kendall. I'm a big fan. Like I said, I've taken your classes. I'm excited to see you as a CEO and founder of NKO, and I wish you nothing but continued success.
Oh, I so appreciate it, Brian. Thank you for the time and the great conversation. I love getting to have conversations more than just the talent side of things. I'm really excited for the CEO and founder chapter. It is challenging and difficult, but it's a beautiful time to step into this, especially with where I'm at in my life. And hopefully I can help create a path for other people to do the same. So
you will, and you're going to do great.
Thank you.
You're listening to Sports Business Radio. We'll be right back.